Okay, good day, good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to our open house for the psychosynthesis certificate. I'm also going to ask that you please keep muted so we don't have any repeating sound. Later on when we have Q&A, then you can raise your hand and we're more than happy to have you open up and talk with us. So let me introduce you to Philip Carr-Gomm, who's the course leader for the Psychosynthesis Certificate. Philip is a psychologist, author, and psychosynthesis psychotherapist for about 40 years. So let me just turn it over to Philip. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that introduction, and welcome to everybody. Lovely to be with everybody here. Really good to be with you. And it's fine to keep your cameras off. If you want to put the cameras on, that's lovely too. It's nice to see faces, but you don't feel you have to. My colleague Greg, do come in, Greg, on your camera.
I just wanted to let you know we can't turn our cameras on because it says the host has said that you can't. So I've tried to, but it's
that explains why nobody's got them on. Yeah.
Let me take care of that because this is multiple sessions are done here.
Okay, I'll let Nick take care of that, and I'll just keep talking, which is to welcome you and to say to tell you a little bit about how this next hour is going to pan out. It's basically going to be in 3 sections. So first of all, I will introduce myself, and so will my colleague Greg, who's one of the mentors on this program, part of the team that's going to be working with you in the course, and then I will give an overview of the course. And then we'll dive into an exercise to give you an experience. So you have a feel for the kind of exercises that you'll be doing, the kind of work that you'll be doing. And then for the rest of the time, it'll be a time for questions, because this is really your opportunity to ask those questions to find out as much as you can about the course so that you can make a decision about whether you want to enroll or not. So I'll kick off by introducing myself. And I came across, I originally wanted to be a Jungian analyst. And so towards the end of my psychology degree at UCL, I started training, I started taking a Jungian analysis in preparation for training. And a couple of years into that, I discovered about psychosynthesis. And it sounded so much more in line with, I loved the Jungian approach, but I loved even more the psychosynthesis approach. Let's put it that way, the way Assagioli had developed Jung's psychology. And so I went for a weekend kind of taster in Holland. It was a 4-day kind of event, and it was just fantastic. And I made the decision to do the training as a psychosynthesis therapist at that point, and that was 40 years ago. And it was just one of the best decisions I ever made. And so I've been working with it ever since in a number of ways. I've been working with it with one-to-ones with individuals, in person, and then in the last few years, increasingly online. And in addition, the particular techniques and perspectives of psychosynthesis have kind of affected all the other work that I do. So in the books that I write, and in the retreats that I've been holding, in the work in nature spirituality that I'm involved in the Druid tradition. So it's permeated really all the work that I do. I've found it adapts wonderfully for use with groups and individuals in all sorts of different contexts. So, and then I was really excited when just over a year ago, Les Lancaster from the Aleph Trust invited me to put together this course, and I've had a fantastic year this last year of building the course and then building a team. The 3 more of us. One of them is here, Greg, who's going to introduce himself in a minute, and Sasha and Toby. So we'll be accompanying you through the course, giving all the support that we can to you. So I'm really looking forward to starting the program in February. And let me hand over to Greg. I don't know whether, Nick, you've managed to fix the problem with the cameras.
Greg, try turning your camera on. I changed one of the settings.
You can't, no, unable to start video. The host has stopped it.
All right. I'm still fiddling with it back
Okay.
here, so please just go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, great. I'm sorry we can't
Yeah,
see you, but
that's all right.
yeah, dive in and introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Oh,
there,
there you are. Hooray.
made me the co-host, so I think I can turn my.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Philip and Nick, to be part of this. Yeah, psychosynthesis. I mean, I'm a bit of a kind of I just love psychosynthesis. I've kind of got I think it's one of these things is the sort of that you come across, and then when I experienced it, it sort of it hit all the right buttons. So in the same way, I think that Philip was describing going to a 4-day course. I trained at the Psychosynthesis Trust in London Bridge. I've been I turned up for this 4-day experience called the Essentials, and it was one of the most kind of immersive and creative and spiritual, without calling itself spiritual, psychotherapeutic experiences that I've had. And I kind of just knew that I had to follow that path. So I think for me, the thing that I really enjoyed about it was that I came from an acting background. So the idea around sort of sub-personalities and getting into sub-personalities and other parts of ourselves, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. This idea that we can work with other parts of ourselves. Um, I've always kind of considered myself to be someone who's got a kind of spiritual belief. And I felt that psychosynthesis kind of spoke to that, but without being kind of too out there. It was a very grounded approach for, but but including a kind of idea that there's something else to head towards, whether you call that a kind of potential or will or spirituality or whatever. There's a sort of sense that something bigger than us, and the fact that there's a sort of psychotherapy that holds that uh, as a way of thinking and being, I was just bowled over by. So I became, yeah, complete convert. I signed up and did the 3-year counselling diploma. Then I did the 2-year MA. I've been seeing clients one-to-one for over 10 years. I've been teaching at the trust, teaching applied psychosynthesis. I've also found that psychosynthesis really helps me in other work. I do psychedelic integration and psychedelic work on trials, on medical trials in the UK. And I found that really helps integrate peak experiences. So yeah, I'm a complete convert to psychosynthesis, and I sort of use it in a. It's like that thing when when you learn to drive, you're always aware of the different gears and the sort of how the you need to look in the mirror and do all this sort of stuff. And now it's a sort of become much more of a sort of you know integrated approach in how I work with my clients, and what's so beautiful about it as well is that you can be as imaginative and creative as you want to be. If you want to kind of like do drawings and chair work and use your imagination and go on kind of explorations, you can do that, or you can just kind of keep it quite simply, just you knowing that you know about psychosynthesis, and that can really help, just having a model to sit and work with clients. Yeah, so that's
Great.
me for now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Greg. How's the course gonna work? Basically, there's 2 tracks to it. There's the theory and the experience, and they weave together. So every month you'll have a theory session, where you'll have comprehensive notes on what you're learning, with references so that you to videos, audios, and text sources. If you want to go further, and we're all different, and we'll all have different needs in taking a course like this, so it's been designed in a way that you can really dive deep if you want to. You could really follow all these leads and really build up a really solid foundation. but the actual presentation will be sufficient to give you a really good grounding anyway. And you might choose to say, go into the references and other sources later, but you'd always have them on hand. And then we'll have a chance to discuss that with me and with the mentors. And then the next session will be an experiential one where we'll spend time doing exercises together. First of all, you'll do an exercise, then you'll be given a chance to record it in your journal, take a comfort break, come back, and then drop into a breakout room and work one-on-one with somebody, and then come back out into the big group to consolidate the learning. So, this is how Greg and I, for instance, when we trained, this is how we did it. We did it physically, not online, because it was before those days, and we would work physically, and you'd learn something, then you'd do an exercise, and then you'd go off to another room or to another part of a big room and just work one-on-one to develop that a deeper experience and understanding of it. And so we'll do that, and we'll work through these 2 tracks that weave together. And there'll be 6 of those over 6 months. You'll do this for 6 months, and the topics covered will gradually build a really solid foundation and context for every aspect of psychosynthesis. There'll then be a month off in August, and you can either choose that to relax and just let it sink into the subconscious, if you like, or you can use that time to catch up on some of the references and the reading and so on. We'll meet back again in September, and then we get into the kind of applications of psychosynthesis. So the final 3 modules will be the methods. What methods does it actually use, and techniques, and what are and then the next in October we'll be looking at specific applications in the mental health area. What can psychosynthesis contribute to particular challenges in the mental health field? And then in the final module we'll be looking at applications, and we'll focus on psychedelic integration and a number of other applications as well. So that's how it's gonna work. You probably will have seen the descriptive paragraphs on the website of each of those 9 modules. If you haven't, I can talk about that later in the Q&A, but you'll find detail on each of those 9 modules in the website, and you've probably already looked at that, so I won't go through that with you. But what I do want to emphasize as well is that in addition to all of this, what we'll do is we'll have an initial meeting where we'll get a real orientation, and we'll get to know each other. That'll be our first, before we go into the 9 modules, we'll really get to know each other. And then over the course of the course, you'll have the opportunity for one-on-one meetings, 3 one-on-ones with your mentor, Greg, Toby, or Sasha. And if you want more, you can for a kind of modest fee, I've forgotten how much it is, but it's on the website. You can book in more sessions. But what that means is you could, for instance, keep a kind of running note of the particular questions you have that somehow you didn't get the answers from in the discussions and in the various sessions we've had. And then you can talk with your mentor about it, or you can talk with your mentor about your particular experiences through the exercises and so on, or really covering any kind of question that you want to. And then in addition to that, we're going to have 3 guest webinars. So about once every 3 months, we're going to have a guest coming in. The first guest is going to be Thomas Yeomans, who is a wonderful elder of the psychosynthesis world, who's just a lovely guy. And he's going to be talking to us about the role of the soul in psychosynthesis. And he's written a fantastic book called Holy Fire about that. And then in the second, third, we're going to have Kenneth Sorensen, who is the world expert on psychosynthesis typology, this particular way psychosynthesis has of looking at us through as 49 different personality types. Well, 7 personality types and 7 soul types, and the combinations make 49 potential combinations. He's going to be taking us through that. And then in the final third, we're going to be having Alan Frater, who's going to be talking to us about the application of imagination in psychosynthesis and ways of working with the imagination. So those guest webinars are going to be fantastic. Everything's going to be recorded. So if one time you can't make a meeting, or if it's a difficult time for you, you can just watch the recording. And so myself and the 3 mentors, 4 of us will be there for you to support you, and for you to draw on our knowledge and understanding and experience. But in addition, we're going to be working with the concept of the learning community. The fact that essentially what's going to be happening is a bunch of us, we don't know how many, there is a maximum of 30, because if we take 30, that means that at any one time, there'll probably be about 20 of us, just given the way life is. But we won't go bigger than that because we want to keep it a small group. So 20, 25 of us or so will be coming together. We'll be taking a journey over 9 months. Well, 10 months if you include the 1 month break. And there's a way in which when you come together as a group, you learn from each other. And this very interesting phenomenon of the kind of group field of consciousness comes into play and can act as a significant ally in the process of learning and growing and transforming. So there we go. So if you have any questions, save them until after our exercise, because that's given you an overview now, I hope, of the course. And you might be asking, well, what kind of exercises? You're talking about experiences, but what kind of experiences do you do? Well, let's try one now. Let's dive in for a little while into an exercise, and this will give you a feel for it. And it's called the perfect companion exercise. So I'd invite you now to just lower your gaze. If it's okay for you to close your eyes, it usually works better because then you can focus on your inner world. And just take a moment to settle. Take in a slow, deep breath. Hold for a moment, and then breathe out fully and deeply. And let's do that one more time. Slow, deep breath in. Hold for a moment, and then breathe out fully and deeply. And now, just go back in your mind's eye and in your imagination to a time when you were facing a challenging decision, difficult decision you had to make. And as you call to mind this memory, to the degree that it feels comfortable and okay for you, allow yourself to fully relive and inhabit this memory with all your senses. So notice how your body is positioned as you're facing this situation, how you're feeling, what's happening at the emotional level. And what are you thinking? What's going through your mind? And how is your mind working? What's the sort of quality of your mental processes now? To see if you can inhabit and relive this memory with sight, with sound, with any of the other senses that feels right for you. Now, imagine a companion you would have liked to have with you by your side, someone whom you could trust and with whom you would feel completely comfortable, even in this difficult time. This companion may or may not remind you of specific friends you already know, yet there is something familiar about them. Take some time now to develop a sense of this companion. What are the qualities of this person with whom you would choose to be at this time? And how are they responding to you now? What, if anything, are they saying? And what would they be communicating without words? So take some time to explore this person's presence, making any changes that you may need in order to feel completely comfortable with them. And now, if you're willing to take another step, imagine that you are this perfect companion, that those qualities are yours. Try looking back at yourself and experience what feelings and thoughts you have from this perspective about the you facing this challenge. What might you be saying to yourself about what you see from this perspective, or about your willingness and attitude in being there? And now imagine bringing the qualities and attitudes of your imagined companion into your relationships with others. Gradually let the memory dissolve now so that you're located in this perfect companion, as this perfect companion, in their feelings and thoughts. And imagine how it would feel in relationship to others, your family and friends, people at work, and in the community. And imagine how you would feel inside, being with yourself, as it were, from this place. And now sensing how it feels to be coming from this place in your heart and your mind, and perhaps your body too, and retaining any positive feelings, thoughts, and body sensations you experience. Allow yourself to gently come back to an awareness of being fully present here and now. And when you feel ready, you stretch your fingers and toes and open your eyes. And so that comes from an adaptation of a psychosynthesis exercise by a wonderful psychosynthetist called Molly Young Brown. So let's see. I hope, Nick, people can unmute themselves or show their hands, because otherwise I'm not sure how we're going to do this question thing. I suppose through Sonia. Great, you've arrived. Sonia seems to have been able to switch her camera on, so maybe everybody can now. But let's hear from a few people. Tell us a little of your experience of that exercise. Maybe Sonia, since you're the only one, it may be unfair to pick on you, but since you're the only one, do maybe you'd like to unmute and.
Okay, I can share a little bit. It feels a little bit odd. Nobody else is showing their faces. So, okay. I'm experienced in psychosynthesis, so you know I love it a lot, and yeah, right now I'm in a I feel very calm and very present. So these are also like the qualities I came out with. It's just like this calmness and like kind of like standing like a rock, kind of in the middle of the storm. Yeah, it was a little bit too fast for me. You know, I was lingering at something. I mean, I would have enjoyed like a little bit more time with my
well, thank you for that. That's good feedback, and thank you. Yes.
Yeah. I feel very present and grounded and centered right now. So thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Yeah. Anthony has managed to switch his camera on. Hi, Anthony. I don't know whether do you feel like sharing with us?
Sure. It was a moment that I had to make some tough decisions over some farm animals, and before you even integrated, it was a younger version of me that had shown up to be my companion, and it was a feeling of I was always an inquisitive child, so I never felt that I had like a mentor that brought me stability. So that was sort of like this feeling that I was able to offer myself that structure that I sort of sought when I was a child, and then to integrate it both, that I now can sort of be that in this person, this age that I sit in now, for my relationships of family, friends, and loved ones and community.
Lovely. Lovely. Good. Thank you. So if we had more time, we could, if there's anybody else who would like to contribute, I think we've got time for one more sharing. It's rather mysterious that only 2 people have been able to activate their cameras, but Nick, how are we doing with this?
Seham has their camera on, but maybe just no light, and maybe Maryam as well.
Everyone should have the ability to unmute themselves or turn their camera on now.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Seham, do you feel like sharing with us how you experienced the exercise?
Yes, I don't mind. Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay. Yeah.
It's my first experience. I don't have any knowledge about psychosynthesis. So when you started and I closed my eyes, straight away the memory that I went to, which is making the decision of what I was stuck between, about making the decision to go through the divorce or not. And it's a very it was a very well, it's still, I'm still going through it. So it was very easy to go to the emotion because it's still life within me. And as you mentioned, to think of a companion, and the first image that came to my mind was my ally. Like when I used to do energy healing, like I connected with like an ally. It's like this old wise person with like white hair, and straight away when he came into my mind, and I just was following your guidance, and then the moment you said to become that ally, to become that. It was like a completely new something that I've never done before. I've always saw myself always receiving the help as the one who's I mean, he's like the stronger, and I'm the one always like calling up on him for support and to merge with his energy and become one. It was a totally new experience for me. It was actually very empowering experience to have that merging happen. I feel like very empowered after that meditation you've done. Started as like the weak one calling up on this angel, and then to this shift towards the end.
Yes.
Yeah, I hope that was clear, Bhavshak.
Yeah, very
thank
clear.
you.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
No
yes.
worries.
And you know, one of the purposes, I suppose you could say, of an exercise like that is to precisely to help that shift, to empower us and to connect us with a level of our own soul, if you like, an inner capacity to guide ourselves and to feel connected with life and with our inner self, our soul, the divine, however you want to term it, you know. And rather interestingly, in that very simple exercise, in a way, it also models a sort of central principle in therapy in terms of what the guide becomes, where to begin with, the psychosynthesis therapists might represent an externalized center of stability and calm and all the rest of it, but you gradually, the purpose of therapy is to gradually integrate that, internalize that, if you like, or rather find it within yourself, so that so yes, wonderful, lovely. Well, thank you to those three of you, and now really now is the time just to dive in and ask any questions you like of Greg and I about this course, about what's how we plan to conduct it over the next year, from February onwards. Anything you need to know that essentially the website didn't provide you with. And I guess, Nick, the chat function is active. I've opened the chat window. Greg, do you maybe want to try typing something in the chat? I mean, here. Okay, Nick's type something in. I'll type something. I'll just say hello, just to see if it's working, essentially. Yes, yeah, okay.
I've got a question for the group, actually. How many therapists are already in here?
One, two, Kathy. Only two?
And any like somatic body workers? Yeah, all right, yeah.
Yeah, two, lovely. And okay. So I'm going to ask. Okay, Kathy, hooray. Kathy, do you need
Sorry, I thought it would be a good time to come in. I am a therapist, but I have no knowledge of psychosynthesis, and I'm a bit nervous about joining a 10-month course where I have no prior knowledge. So is that a good place to be coming from or not?
Yes. Well, the course is really designed for, I think, three sort of sets of people. On the one hand, it's designed for people who already have some training in counseling or psychotherapy of some kind, who want to broaden their skill set and understanding, so that it becomes like CPD, continuing professional development for them, and are interested in psychosynthesis and would like to add some psychosynthesis perspectives and methods into their work. And then I guess there will be another group of people who aren't trained in counseling and therapy, but nevertheless are really interested in this field, either for their own personal growth and development, or because they're contemplating going into this work in a more professional way, if you like, in a professional capacity, and they want to get a grounding in psychosynthesis to then move on to more training. And then I think the third category of people would be, which perhaps Sonia falls into, I don't know, but who already have trained in psychosynthesis, but would like to have a refresher. As Saggioli himself said, every so often it's good to refresh oneself, because Greg mentioned this process, which is called progressive relegation to subconscious function. Greg, that thing you were talking about, gears. When you learn how to drive, it's very conscious, and then after a number of months, it's progressively relegated, dropped down into the subconscious, and you just do it naturally without thinking, but because you do that, you also forget bunches of stuff, and so it's good to refresh yourself. So I visualize those sort of three types. It sounds like you've trained. Are you already working in a particular therapeutic field?
I'm a humanistic counsellor, and I'm self-employed, so I'm in private practice.
Right. Okay.
And I'm interested in this because I want to expand my therapeutic knowledge and my therapeutic work with my clients. I kind of want to go deeper in the work. Yeah. But also for my own personal development, I feel like I want to go deeper for myself. I feel like I fit into two of those categories.
Absolutely. And without the personal work, I think, I mean, we all know that you can read as much theory as you like, and it's not really going to change you as a person, and consequently it's not going to have such a beneficial effect with clients unless you yourself have been through the process and experienced the changes too. So that's why. So I think, yes, I mean, you're, in a way, you fit into the kind of person I'd imagined exactly would be drawn to a course like this. I know in the last open house session that we had a lot of integrative therapists, and psychosynthesis is a integral therapy. It's very eclectic and broad, and it fits with many other different therapeutic approaches.
On that note, Philip,
yeah,
there's a question in the box down below that says from Seham.
Yeah.
You mentioned we'll be working with parts. Is it similar to IFS?
Yeah. And the answer is yes. Yeah, yes, it is. So IFS, exactly. IFS developed out of Dick Schwartz's understanding of psychosynthesis and its subpersonality theory and practice, and together with systems theory and his experience in couples therapy and marital therapy and so on. So IFS is a totally part, in a way, integrates perfectly, makes a lot of sense. So and a lot of psychosynthesis practitioners have also studied IFS and vice versa. So yes, so I think yeah. Any other questions? Maybe Sonia, you'd like to say, because you've fallen. I mean, this is a strange. When I did this 2 weeks ago, we had a whole bunch of people, and I could see everybody, and everybody was. So this is kind of strange with only a few people here. But actually, hang on. There's another question. Maybe I'll look at that. Spare you.
Shall I read it out, or do you want to go?
Yeah, you read it out, Greg. You're the actor. Read it out.
Okay, I'll do the hosting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, this is from Anthony. And he says, I guess I would be of the second group of people, the ones with no background, but seeking something to give me professional understanding. I come from a history of running my own small business, but it's a food and hospitality business. I then found my way here through OBOD, which is the Order of British
Bards, Ovates and Druids.
And yes, of Druids, yes, sorry. Where I am currently finalizing my Ovate year. I guess my long-winded question is, what could I expect of this program to give me in a professional setting in America? Is there anything I could practice after completing this course?
Well, lovely, Anthony. Lovely to hear that you're doing that work, and you know, psychosynthesis perspectives and even exercises have had their influence on the OBOD training massively. So you would find them a very kind of good fit, as it were. And the answer is it wouldn't give you any capacity to practice at all, I'm afraid. For two reasons. One is because every country, and probably in America, every state, but I don't know that, will have different kind of regulations and rules. And secondly, this is not a training to be a therapist or a counselor, because it's not long enough and it's not geared in that way. To be a counselor and a therapist, I think a lot of people, possibly from the outside, when they begin, they think it's a fairly defined area and that they can get it sort of under their belts quite quickly. And the reality seems to be quite different, that it's actually a huge field, and many specialisms within the field. And it would, what I would say is, I would hope it would give you a really excellent foundation with which to then, I would imagine that by the end of the course, you'd either find yourself thinking, well, that was great. I've learned a lot about myself and about how, you know, people work and so on. But I don't want to be a therapist. But I've really grown and changed through that. And it's given me perspectives on life in general and relationships and my work that will be invaluable to me. Or it might fire you up to think, wow, I really want to do some further training, in which case, so that I could practice it in a professional setting. And to give you a little kind of context for that, when I trained at the Institute of Psychosynthesis, and when they had their 40th anniversary, we had a big kind of party over a weekend, and about 100 people came, ex-graduates and faculty and so on. It was lovely to meet everybody. And what was so fascinating when we were, you know, doing the big group shares was how many people had done the training and then hadn't become therapists and had gone into completely different fields, but nevertheless were really glad that they had. So you find people, for instance, in management consultancy, organizational consultancy. You have people who work in social work and youth work. I know people who've gone into acting and the whole kind of entertainment drama sort of world, with that kind of knowledge and insight that has helped them enormously. And then into the whole range of kind of therapies and spiritual kind of approaches. You know, for me personally, what I've found, whilst I developed a private practice, I also did the work of developing the OBOD training, which I had inherited and which was very old-fashioned. It was coming out of a kind of essentially kind of Victorian magical tradition, that had its charm, but was very old-fashioned. But thanks to the psychosynthesis training I had done, I feel I was able to kind of make it come alive in what was then the late 20th century, and the 21st century. So a long answer, but I hope that has helped.
Philip, perhaps share, you know, what a student can do after they finish this course, because there are options.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Nick. Well, what we've done is we've managed to negotiate with the Institute of Psychosynthesis a kind of fast track into their training program. So if any of the students on this course feel they'd like to do professional training in the following years, there's a particular route that you take, and the first route is to do what is called in the institute essentials, or is it
fundamentals?
Fundamentals, that's right. And at the trust, there are basically two bodies in the UK that train people: the Psychosynthesis Trust, which is where Greg and Sasha come out of and were trained in, and then Toby and I were trained in the other place, the institute. So I did that deliberately in a way so that we can really have a kind of rich resource, as it were. And both of them have these preliminary steps, and the institute have agreed to waive that because they have understood that the people coming out of our course will have already got that foundation. So subject to an interview, a kind of online Zoom interview with you, they will accept you into their training. So you can do that, or the other thing that might happen is, because of the transformational work that we'll be doing, you might find that it fires you up in a direction that perhaps surprises you, or that you hadn't expected. So, for instance, when you get into doing the subpersonality work that we'll be doing in, I can't remember where, module 4 or something, you might want to really focus on that and go into training in IFS, internal family systems, for instance, which is like a feature of psychosynthesis that's been highly developed within one area. You might want to go off in that direction, or you might want to do a basic counseling course just to get those skills down, which you could then add in your psychosynthesis perspectives too. So, I mean, the quickest way, in a way, to start using it in practice would be to take a counseling course, which is offered in all sorts of formats, that will give you the skills in terms of deep listening, understanding kind of basics around the contract with the client, transference and countertransference, and the processes of projection, and so on and so on, and those sorts of basic skills, which you could then add into your psychosynthesis training that you had already done to get you up and running. Or if you kind of got bitten by the academic excitement of it, you might choose to go into the Aleph Trust's MSc course in transpersonal psychology, because I think it was Kathy who mentioned how she was a humanistic therapist, and my apologies if I've got the name wrong.
That's right.
It was Kathy, wasn't it? Yeah, humanistic. And the interesting thing about psychosynthesis is that Assagioli began as the first Freudian analyst in Italy, and he was a kind of he was translating Freud's material and publishing it in Italy and so on, and then he got to know of Jung's work and became the first Jungian really in Italy. He still respected Freud's work and included aspects of it and so on, but moved on to Jung. And then the humanistic wave of psychology developed in the 1960s, where and Assagioli became a spokesperson for that as well, and was involved in that with people like Abraham Maslow, who was saying, hey, look, there's more than just this analytical approach. There's an understanding of, people have rather extraordinary experiences, the peak experiences that Greg was talking about. People have peak experiences, the concept of the actualized or the self-actualized person, the highly creative person. Let's start studying well people and high-functioning people instead of just focusing on ill people. So this was right up Assagioli's street, and so he started working in that. But there was still an element missing, which was the spiritual, if you like. And so after a while, the humanistic therapists, and this is why, Kathy, I'm mentioning this because, you were saying you wanted to go deeper. In a way, what happened with that third wave of psychology, or third force, as it's called, the humanistic wave, was that people started to realize towards I can't remember when, the kind of the 80s, I think, hang on a minute. There's even more to the human being. There's the spiritual dimension. Peak experiences can actually be transcendent or immanent spiritual experiences, really powerful. We need to broaden our vision. So this fourth wave came into play, which was termed transpersonal psychology. And so Assagioli is rather distinct in having been somebody who was a sort of moving force in both the psychodynamic, the humanistic, and the transpersonal waves of psychology as it developed over the decades. So another route you might take would be to get into the broader field. I mean, psychosynthesis in a way is the kind of foundational approach within transpersonal psychology, but there are other approaches too. And you might want to get into that. Greg, you want to say something?
I've got a friend who is a photographer, and he teaches photography as well. Like I live in Brighton, so he works at Brighton University, and he did the whole 3-year training, and he was planning to become a therapist and go forward with it, but he actually just found that it got him back in touch with being able to work with his students and be a teacher and kind of use the work that he was as a teacher. And then he sort of developed his photography career again and kind of took off, and now he's kind of like flying with, he's got exhibitions going on around all over the place. But and it's sort of, I sort of feel like it was psychosynthesis. There was part of something doing that training for him that lifted it off.
Exactly. I mean, I was amazed at that 40th anniversary, how many people, that sort of story of people who'd been inspired. Yeah. Sonia's asking, is there a chance to get a schedule with all the meeting dates for the program? I would be interested to do it as a refresher and to connect with the community. However, I am afraid I would miss too many live sessions due to my own schedule in 2025. For example, it would be impossible for me to attend the opening on the 3rd of February. How problematic is this? Fantastic, really good question. Well, the good news is it's the 5th of February. We've rescheduled. I don't know if that helps, but let me put in. I do have the dates, and I can just paste them in here to give you a feel for it. Starting off with the meet and greet orientation and intros are on the 5th of February. I'm going to tap them in here. Oh, 5th also won't work. What a shame. But your message is too long. It won't let me do it. I'm going to read it out instead, and we can always send it to you. But I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, the meeting and greeting is basically everybody introducing themselves, so that when we drop into a breakout room with somebody, at least we've had some connection with them. They're not a complete stranger to us. But however, that's not too much of a challenge, I would hope. So that is literally just a meeting and greeting, everybody saying hello. And then we start module 1 on the 19th of February at 6 p.m. If you're on, I don't know if you're in the UK, if you're in Europe, that would be 7 p.m. That 19th of February. Then we'd have the practicum, the practical experiential session, 5th of March. And then it goes 19 March, 2 April, 16 April, 30 April, about every fortnight, 14 May, 28 May, 20. And I think all those dates are, if I remember it, that we chose, they are a particular day each week, which is, I think, let me look at 19 Feb. It's a Wednesday. So we're talking about Wednesday evenings at 6 in the evening GMT and 7 p.m. Central European time. And we haven't fixed the dates for the guest webinars yet. And of course, it's up to you to fix the dates with your mentor about your one-on-ones. So I hope Wednesday evenings work for you, Sonia. But yeah, that's how it's going to be. We've just got 3 minutes to go. So if anybody wants to ask a question in the last 3 minutes, You're welcome. Our apologies about the about a lot of you not being able to switch your cameras on, but I hope this gave you a good orientation. If you have any queries, just send an email in. You've got the email address on the web page. And Nick is reminding us that one step you can either choose, if you're sure you want to do it, that's fabulous. Just enroll and we'll see you in February. If you're still not sure, or you'd like to sort of start gently immersing yourself in it, we've got a 3-hour live workshop on Friday, November the 29th from 4 to 7 p.m. And we will make sure that the cameras work, so don't worry about that. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Greg, for
absolute pleasure
for being here. And Nick, shall I hand over to you?
Yeah, thank you everybody for attending. We always appreciate it. As you know, the session is recorded, and within the next 1 to 2 days, you'll be emailed a link for a copy, so you can look at it again to get more into the specifics. And for those who did not attend live, also gives everyone else the opportunity. And again, should you have any questions, please contact me. And if I have any, ask a deeper question, I can get in contact with Philip or vice versa. So again, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nick. And tell me, I've pasted in some of these dates. Is there a way that, but of course the trouble will be that when we quit this Zoom, these will go. If you're quick enough, you can copy and paste these yourself out of this program. But is there a way, Nick, that we can get this to people?
We will add it into the email with the link for the recordings. That way you have it in front of you.
That's fabulous. Okay, so you don't need to kind of rush to copy this, but we've got all those dates. Lovely. Okay, well, thank you so much, and thank you to everybody for being here tonight.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye, everybody. Bye.